Welcome to Metaphysical Soul Speak. I'm your host, Elena Fox Starks. Hey guys, I hope that you are doing really well today, and whenever and wherever you are. If you feel tired or overly energetic or overly emotional, and it doesn't seem to have an apparent cause, that you are gentle with yourself, and remember, this is the ascension, and it's probably a symptom of that. So today, all day, I felt nervous and anxiety ridden, but it could be because I have to get on a bus in an hour. I have to go to Quito, Ecuador, to get my visa, and all day I was like, oh, I was so nervous last night I couldn't sleep, fell asleep at 7 a.m. My kid woke me up 5 hours later. I'm like, are you kidding me right now, dude? You couldn't even waited 1 hour more for my alarm to go off at 12:30. And he's like, oh, I want to get a book for the road. All right, fine. So he went and got a book. He got 3 books. I'm so proud. I'm so proud of him. He's finally like, oh yeah, I want to go to books. He found 2 blocks in which all the bookstores have books in English. And he is reading books in Spanish too, but it was exciting. They have Michelle Obama's autobiography, but it was in Spanish, so we know where we could get it in English. So he's like, oh, I can't wait to read it. And he got a book on feminism. You guys, I'm raising a feminist kid. I'm both of my kids, and I don't know, like, I guess I'm a feminist, but I'm not a hardcore, like, I don't talk about it constantly, but it's just I think people should be paid equal for equal work, and everyone's equal under the sun, and, I'm a quiet feminist. I'm not out loud and freaking out about issues all the time, but I'm so proud. He went and bought The War on Women, and he's reading about wages and abuse of women and how the laws are in different ways. And it's just like interesting. It's an interesting book. It looks very political. I'm like, oh, my kid is interested in this. So cool. I mean, when I was 16, I was reading, literature. I was reading fictional books. Then I got a little older and started reading practically only nonfiction spirit books. But yeah, so now I'm waiting for him, and he should be home any minute. He wanted to order food, and we don't have time to order food. So I'm going to tell him we're going to have eggs and rice for dinner before a 9-hour bus trip. Sorry. Anyway, I don't have a whole lot of time tonight, so this is going to be a very shortened show. So apologies for that in advance. Schumann resonance today, there was only one word. Calm. But as far as Ascension Symptom Scale goes, we are at 99. I don't know if you guys were bombarded with an overwhelming, brilliantly, holy crap, that's super bright sunshine today. But when it was right before I went to bed. I went to bed at 7 a.m. and the sun was up. And I thought I might as well get my morning sun. And so I opened up the window, and Fred saw me and flew right over. And I asked him what he wanted, and he started opening his mouth like he's talking to me. I wonder half the time if they're not just making fun of us and judging us because we talk, with our mouths like that. Because they don't. They can make the sounds that they make without moving their lips. Okay, pigeons don't have lips, but you know what I mean. And anyway, I said, good morning, Fred. I love you. How are you? And he cooed at me. He never cooed at me before, ever. I couldn't believe it. And then he high-fived me like 3 times. Okay, he's actually attacking me with his wings. He's scared I'm going to touch him. He doesn't like to get pet. So I say, hey, high-five me, baby. And he high-fives me, but literally he's attacking me. But it's super fun. If he was really afraid of me, he would have flown away, but he doesn't. He stays. And I gave him some seeds, and I gave him a couple pieces of bread, and he was so happy. He was so happy to have the interaction. I don't know where Ethel was. I saw her off with another man today. Well, by man, I mean pigeon man. And Fred flew by her and kind of gave her a look, and she flew home immediately. Oh, sorry. Sorry, Fred. Didn't mean to be flirting with that other pigeon. I can't believe it. The other pigeon's not nearly as handsome as Fred. Ha, pigeon love and pigeon drama. Welcome to my sad, sad world. Oh, so I got everything ready to go on my trip. I'm so excited. I can't believe it. Tomorrow morning, by this time tomorrow night, I will already be a resident of Ecuador, finally. What a great relief this is. So I don't know. Hopefully I'm hoping I'm going to be able to do a show every single day while I'm gone. I have a hostel. I've got a private room. I've heard that the internet there's a little sketchy in that hostel, but the hostel is really nice. So, all right. Oh, baby. I didn't realize this until this very second. And this number 33 has come up a lot in the last, 3 or 4 days. And now we're on lesson 33 right now. This is what lesson 33 says. There is another way of looking at the world. There's another way of looking at the world. That's true. So if you become disturbed for anything, it says, you have to say, well, there's another way of looking at this. I always say think outside the box. It's kind of the same idea, but there's what it says. There is another way of looking at the world. So there you have it. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm not going to talk too much. Oh, by the way, I rambled last night. So sorry about that. I think I was just so excited. You saw how much energy I had, or you heard how much energy I had yesterday. Oh my God. So there's a couple things. I said Michio Kaku discovered the power of that words have on water. That's not true. It was Masaru Emoto. I can't believe I got the wrong name. I just blurted out Michio Kaku. And for some reason, he has been on my mind quite a bit in the past few weeks. I keep coming across his name in various ways, and I keep thinking about just little bits and pieces, tidbits of conversations he had with Art Bell. I love Michio Kaku. He's a brilliant mind in our world. And anyway, so sorry for the wrong name and the confusion. But the scientist who discovered the effect that words have on water is Masaru Emoto. All right, guys, I'm going to take a quick break, and I'm going to be right back with an episode about haunted jewelry. What is it? Where do you get it? What does it mean, haunted? What kinds of hauntings? And if you really want a piece of haunted jewelry, how do you go about picking out the exact perfect piece for you? After this message. If you're listening to this, you obviously like podcasts, and you probably like music too. Long walks on the beach, romantic dancing under the stars, and oh wait, we're not doing that right now. On Spotify, you can listen to all of that in one place for free, and you don't even need a premium account, which is cool. Free is always good. Spotify has a huge catalog of podcasts on every topic, including the one you're listening to right now. On Spotify, you can follow your favorite podcasts so you never miss an episode. download episodes to listen to offline wherever you are, including your long romantic walks on the beach. Also, one thing I love about Spotify is that you can easily share what you're listening to with your friends via Spotify's integrations with the social platforms like Instagram. So that makes it really, really versatile. Just search for Metaphysical Soul Speak on the Spotify app or browse podcasts in the Your Library tab. And follow me, of course, don't forget, so that you'll never again miss an episode of Metaphysical Soul Speak. Spotify is the world's leading music streaming service, and now it can be your go-to for podcasts too. Thank you guys so much for supporting Metaphysical Soul Speak on Spotify. Haunted jewelry. Now, you've heard of haunted places, haunted people, even haunted dolls. And there's a lot of really creepy videos on YouTube about haunted dolls. And there's a lot of creepy things. But haunted jewelry isn't about being haunted by a ghost, although it can be. A haunted house is where a spirit, like someone has died in a house and their spirit refused to leave and they become a ghost or a phantasm. In Spanish, the word for ghost is fantasma, like the Phantom of the Opera. And sometimes people are haunted, but they're haunted usually by a ghost or by memories. Sometimes you can have a haunted doll. That's really creepy stuff, having a haunted doll. And sometimes you can have jewelry that has the haunting or faded memory or slightly faded memory of a negative thing that happened while the person was wearing the jewelry. I did mention a few months ago in an episode that my mom had given me this gorgeous, gorgeous ring that she had. It was like 18 karat gold and it had pearls in it. And my dad had it made for her. And she found out, she was mad at him for something. I guess he was on a road trip, he had to work, and she was missing him. And she found out, I think he took an extra day just to hang out with friends that he met there in Fresno, instead of coming right home to me and my mom. And that made her really angry, and she got jealous of the other people. Like, you know, my dad had been gone for a week and she really missed him and she's mad. So they had this massive fight. And so she kept hold on to the ring, and she's like, I'm gonna give this to Elena when she's old enough. So when I was 18, she gave me the ring. And I put it on. And within an hour, I was fighting with my boyfriend. And then I started saying really insane things that made no sense. He's like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, how dare you go away and stay away and not tell me where you are and who you're with? And he's like, what are you talking about? I didn't go anywhere, you know? And I'm like, whatever, let's just order. We're like in a restaurant. I just got like really rude. And he's like, what is wrong with you? And he's like, oh my God, this is the first day you've ever worn that ring. Take it off. Take it off. Take it off now. Took off the ring. 20 minutes later, I was totally fine. I was like, that was one of the weirdest things I've ever experienced in my life. I don't think I wore the ring again, or I think I cleansed it and then wore it again, but limitedly. I was just like, I called my mom and confronted her. She's like, how do you know the exact fight and the exact words I said to your dad? I go, because those exact words came out of my mouth when I started channeling your energy and the haunted memory of your past that's attached to this jewelry. So that's one type of jewelry, like haunted jewelry, that there can be. So it can be haunted with memories. Usually it's a negative memory, the strong, deep, powerful, passionate memories. You can have haunted jewelry that the person who owned it, and if they're a ghost, they might want to hang out with their possessions because they don't know what else to do. They might be a little mad or jealous because they don't realize they're dead. But for the most part, what I'm talking about when I say haunted jewelry, what is haunted jewelry? It is a overall term that signifies that there is a spirit attached to the jewelry. Now, sometimes the spirit is like a ghost, like a spirit, and sometimes the spirit is alive still. Most of the time, it is a living spirit. It's a living spirit haunted piece of jewelry. It's not always a ring. It could be earrings. It could be a brooch. It could be a necklace. It could be anything. A lot of magic folk tend to have a lot of haunted jewelry. I used to have a lot of haunted jewelry. So I'm going to go over what are the spirits that you can have in a piece of haunted jewelry. So the first one, as I said, was besides memories, because you could just wash that off if it's bad. How do you wash it off? Well, I should tell you that right now. If it's just a piece of jewelry that doesn't have a spirit attachment and you want to get rid of like a negative energy or a memory of something, you can, if it's safe for the setting, if it's a ring or whatever, you could put it in salt water, or you could spray salt water on it. But I don't recommend that. Most jewelry will rust or tarnish. You can pass it through. You could pass it through smoke, such as sage or nag champa, any kind of incense really, jasmine or sandalwood. Copal is a nice purification incense. If you put it in a plastic bag to protect it and then bury it in the earth for a month, that's another way. You can keep it in the sun for a day or a week every day. Unless it's going to make it fade, then you don't want to do that. You can keep it in the moon, but that will imbue it with moon and sun energy. So I think smoke is probably the best way. Asking Archangel Michael to cut any ties. Working with the angels, doing angel magic, that works. Putting your own energy into it. Rinsing it off with water really quick while saying a prayer. Holy water works. Sprinkling it with holy water will break up the memory and the residue of the energy, and the patterns are attached to it. So, okay. So that was the first kind of haunted jewelry. The second kind of haunted jewelry there is when there's a person who is like a loving, benevolent spirit who's not a ghost, but has said that they would be with this jewelry no matter what, and they're going to continue with the jewelry and help the user of the jewelry through whatever magical dilemmas or life dramas that they have. Case in point is I had bought a ring that had a grandmother on it. She was a very loving grandmother. Her name was Babushka. She was, I want to say Ukrainian, and it belonged to this girl who grew up. She was a grown woman, and it belonged to her grandmother. And her kids were grown. She grew up, and her kids were grown. And Babushka had said, "This ring should always be with someone who has very little kids, and I'll watch the kids." So I bought the Babushka ring, and Grandma came to us, and I would feel her at night touching my forehead to make sure I'm okay, tucking me in at night, and I would hear her footsteps go into the children's room, and I know she was taking care of the children also. It was helpful to have her around when I was going through the divorce. My kids were already used to having spirits around. We've always, we're a magic family. We have hereditary magic, and we didn't really realize that, honestly, until this year, because my, family that I knew, the generation right above me and 2 generations above me were not actively magical. They had powers, but they didn't really think about it, or they ignored that fact because they were Christian. And and so somehow it got lost over the generations and in translation. So my kids were used to it. So it was nice to have a babushka. around the house to tuck us in. And when I was sick, I'd feel her sitting with me and praying for me. And I'd talk to her. Sometimes I'd hear her singing softly. And sometimes I would hear, her like talk to me and tell me whatever it was. I didn't understand her, but I felt her energy. I understood her energy. It was very sweet, very loving. It felt nice to have a grandma around, So that's another kind. So that's another kind of jewelry. Usually, the haunted jewelry they do not have a person. There was an estate sale years ago that I took part in, and I bought several pieces from a very, very powerful, very wealthy witch named Patricia. And she died, and she said she wanted her entire collection to be disbanded. And all of her jewelry was haunted, and she wanted it to be disbanded and dispersed to the people that would benefit from it the most. So her coven did that. And I had several pieces of her jewelry. And a lot of her jewelry, another form of haunted jewelry, is jewelry that has a spell on it. So it's haunted with a spell for a specific purpose. Now, over the years, I've bought many pieces of jewelry that were for losing weight, keeping good health, having protection over you and your loved ones, having safe passage in all circumstances. I even got one that was for a lust spell, just to see. I was at the end of my marriage, although we were still married and we weren't talking about divorce yet, and he wasn't really paying attention to me. And he was actually being kind of mean to me. I didn't know at the time he had brain cancer. But just out of nowhere, he just acted like he didn't care and he didn't love me. And it was a pretty horrible thing to go through when you have someone who's absolutely into you every day, no matter what you look like. You could be sweaty and looking super yucky and no makeup and just the ugliest outfit on, and he could just love you so much that none of that mattered. And then all of a sudden he just doesn't care. And no matter how good I looked, he didn't care. And I thought, well, maybe if I get this ring, he'll care. And because it wasn't him or a block in him, it was literally the illness he had, and we didn't know. It didn't really work on him, but I'd gone with him somewhere to a store, and it was like a health food store, and the butcher shop was next to that. It was all organic. It was my favorite health food store. And I had the ring to kind of get my husband interested to see if that would work, right? It was just, for me, it's just seriously out of just mad curiosity to see if this thing would work. And it didn't work with him. I thought, well, tapping the ring, thumping it. Is this thing on? Hello? Hello? Am I beyond hope here? So, but I went with him to the shop, and we were telling the butcher what kind of cuts of meat we wanted, and the butcher started flirting with me right in front of my husband. It was the craziest thing. I'm like, no way, this ring is working, because this guy never noticed me before, and that was so weird. He was just like winking at me, and he's like, I'll give you a couple ounces extra for free. I was like, what the hell? Like, he gave me extra meat, and he was just like, well, let me cut this one special for you. It was crazy. I had never been treated like that flirtatiously by a man right in front of my husband with my children. We were very young at the time. It was very, very, so that kind of haunted jewelry can actually work. And I realized very quickly that that's a ring I should not wear very often. I saw the produce man looking at me a little bit, and I was like, whoa, it was too much attention. And literally in the description of the ring when I bought it was, you might get too much attention, so be very careful with this. It's a very powerful spell. So the next type of haunted jewelry that you can get, it gets even more exciting. Another kind of haunted jewelry is that which has a spirit of an animal attached. And people that attach a spirit of an animal to a piece of jewelry, they will have a ceremony in their house or like in their yard, and they will protect themselves and call upon the animals that have died. Their animals have died, and they want to help humans and be like their totem animal or their protector. So one time I ordered, what kind of a spirit was it? I ordered a horse for my son, a horse spirit. And what showed up was a turtle spirit. Totally different ring. It was a turtle spirit. And it had a little description of the turtle spirit and his name and everything. And I called the lady and she said, oh my God, that turtle spirit did not want to go to anybody and wouldn't let me list it. And then it tricked me and I saw the wrong bag and I sent it to you. Hold on a minute. And so she did a little ceremony and talked to the spirit of the turtle, who said, no, I'm supposed to be with her and I want to be with her. I'm her totem animal. So the turtle spirit came and lived with me. And she said, you can have the ring for free because it was my mistake. But also the turtle loves you so much and he's adamant to stay with you. And so then she sent the horse ring, and that was for my son. And then I bought a butterfly ring for my oldest kid. And then we started working with our animal spirits. And I even had a family of lions came after I started calling upon animals to help me. Without having a piece of jewelry, I was haunted by lions. The whole family came. And since then, it's just been a one big zoo parade. I've been visited by giant grizzly bears, polar bears. When polar bears have died, they've come and laid on top of me for 3 nights in a row while I'm in bed. You know how hard it is to feel like you can't even breathe because you have like a giant polar bear taking up your entire bed. Obviously, it's not an actual bear, but the energy of that spirit is heavy. And I've had dogs and cats from my past. When they died and they crossed over, they would come and visit me and say goodbye for a couple days before leaving. And I've had ghost cats. But sometimes these spirits want to hang out and be a part of a piece of jewelry to help the people that need it the most. Now, another kind of haunted jewelry, this is even more fun, is having a fairy spirit, a fae spirit. And I mean, this could be anything from a sylph to a salamander to a gnome or a flower fairy. Any kind of nature spirit or deva, any kind of nature spirit that wants to help you get in touch with nature. Tree spirits have haunted jewelry. And it's the same thing. The keeper of the haunted jewels will not, it's not always jewels. It could be just, a metal ring or a necklace, or just a stone in a necklace made from cloth or, twine. And all the different kinds of jewelry in the world are different. And some people just go get cheap jewelry in China and then call spirits and attach it to that. I don't like that. I like old-fashioned, antique, 24 karat gold, straight up good jewelry. So fairy spirits, and I have had over the years many, many, many genies. Genies are real. Genies exist. I have had genies that were 1 inch tall and so adorable, and they just bring love. That's all they do. I've had genies that have kind of a seductress, sensuous nature, and they want to provide you with luxury and beauty. And sometimes it worked. Sometimes, I would get nice things, or people would take me out to dinner or something, but it was never like I didn't become wealthy with the genie rings. But I did use genie rings. I had a jinn who was good in business, and with him at my side, every time I went and conducted business, I started doing really well. And I had a passive income of $25,000 or $26,000 a year that I didn't have to work for anymore. I did it for 4 months, and then I had a passive income for 2.5 years after I was done working. Never should have stopped working. I would be a millionaire now. But because my life started to fall apart, I kind of let it go to the wayside. And hashtag life regrets. I mean, everybody has them. But with my business jinn at my side, boy, did I commanded attention and respect from the right people. And he really, really helped me. It was nice. And he was very, very powerful. Now, I had another jinn who was a king, and he commanded an army of 18,000 jinn. And that is who I asked to help me stop the chemtrails in my county. It was really bad. People were getting very sick, and I asked the jinn to command his army to go and not hurt anybody. I don't want anyone hurt, but please, and if you ask a jinn or any nature spirit ever to hurt somebody or get revenge for you, that hurts their heart and their soul, and they will turn that energy back on you and attack you. That is extremely dangerous game to get involved in. So you always have to imagine, and it harm none, do it thou wilt. You can never, ever ask a spirit to harm someone else, because they will harm you. Probably tenfold of what you asked in the first place. So, but I asked this army of jinn, I said, please confuse the people who are flying in the helicopters and the planes, confuse their minds so they think they're finished with their job and they have to go back right now and land in the hangar. And once they're in the hangar, ruin the contraptions, ruin all the, like the machinery, get involved, like the electrical system, do something so that those planes or the mechanism that puts out the chemicals in the air, the toxic aluminum and God knows what other things are in those nanoparticles, go ahead and just dismantle the machines. I did the same thing. I've told you guys this story already about the fairies who stopped the mechanism from spraying pesticides into my neighborhood. And we saved all the songbirds that year and all of the butterflies. And we had a beautiful season, and everybody's vegetables grew because things were being pollinated because bees existed. You know, when they spray for mosquitoes, it's like they don't give a crap. They kill bees. You know, we're as a planet, the planet's dying because the bees are dying. And when they don't care, and, you know, even the administration now, they just lifted all the protections for bees. And they're allowing more pesticides. They're going to literally ruin the world. We all know that we're in the fifth dimension, and the third dimensional world's going to fall away soon. So we're kind of expecting it, but it's still very distressing, isn't it, to hear it? So if you feel like you could do something about it, if you have your own genie, say, look, can we do that? And ask them first. In every piece of haunted jewelry I've ever got, this is the first question I say, do you want to be with me? And I use a pendulum or muscle testing. If I can't hear them directly, if I can't telepath with a spirit, I'll say, do you want to be with me? And if they say no, then do you want me to sell the piece of jewelry, or do you want to be freed from the jewelry? No one has ever wanted to be freed from the jewelry, but I've asked, if you want to be freed from the jewelry, let me know, and I will free you from the jewelry. I don't believe in slavery. If you want to be here because you want to be here, that's cool. Otherwise, I'm not going to put you in that position. So all my people, all my jinns and things I've had around me over the years, thank God they always wanted to be with me. So that's what you could do though with jinn. Another thing you can do with jinn is you ask them to give you pointers on spirituality. What do they know? Sometimes you'll get a jinn that's 1,000 years old, and he has or she has a great deal of knowledge. I've had genies give me advice on love and relationships. I have had jinn that will meditate with me, and most of my jinn have been Muslim. A lot of jinn do follow Islam. Very weird, right? They live in a whole different dimension. I had a prince jinn who came to me once, and he was attached to a piece of jewelry that I did not win at an auction, but I asked him if he was really attached to the jewelry, and he said, no, I'm not really. They didn't know what they're doing. So I unattached him from the jewelry, and he came and lived with me for a long time. And he said that he wants to take me to his palace, but he can't, because if I ever went and he got caught, they will put him to death. That is illegal in the jinn world, to have a human go to the jinn realm. Very strange, right? I had another jinn ring that showed up, and it had been owned by a very angry, very horrible human from Egypt, and he got very angry that I had the ring and his grandson didn't have it. And I said, you know, it was your grandson that sent it across country in a paper envelope, and the ring was poking through and was almost lost forever. you're damn lucky that the ring ever even got to me, and I'm going to protect and love it. And so he said, I don't like you. You have to send it back to my grandson, or I'm going to give you, nightmares. And so he gave me a horrible nightmare, a horrible, gory, lousy nightmare. And so I called upon the Jinn of the Ring, and I said the very first order of business is to banish the former owner forever. And I never got haunted again by that guy. Jinn can protect you. And you have to give them love and respect, and you have to never just order them and command them around, because nobody likes that. Just say, hey, I think I want to do this. Do you think you want to work with me on this project? That's how I ask. I'm very nice, loving, respectful, like you're my best friend. And then when you order it, order them to do something, you say, okay, well, that's your task. I'm going to set you to. You're ready to do it? You want to do it? You're on board? Yes. Okay. Well, now you may do it now. Go do it. Thank you. Then I would say thank you. I'm always grateful. So how do you go about finding the jewelry that you want? Well, you're going to feel an attraction to it, but you have to read the descriptions thoroughly. Oh, and by the way, I've had mermen, I have had mermaids, I have had all kinds of dragons, all kinds. You can have Pegasus, unicorn. Now, the darker spirits, by the way, I don't play with, okay? One time, the same thing happened with the turtle, happened with another ring once. Somebody sent me a succubus energy because she was a seductress, and she kind of fancied me. She saw me looking at the other description, and she came to visit me, and she had the ring sent to me. And the lady's like, oh my God, I'm going to recall that spirit, because she should not have done that, and I'm not going to subject you to something you don't want. I'm like, well, she hasn't screwed up my life too much. She's just kind of playing around a little bit and laughing. I heard her like, ha 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 ha, like, ooh, what are you doing today? Kind of seductory sort of energy. I was like, oh my God. She's like I think she's like a succubus demon, or I don't know, like half succubus, half demon. I'm like, I don't want that energy in my life. So, all right, I love everyone in the world, so I love you too, but you got to go. Like, homie, don't play that game. No, I don't do that. Some people do. I don't like the darker energies. I just don't. You can get vampires, demons, succubus, incubus, werewolf spirits, supposedly. I don't know. I didn't want to ever play with that. And some of it I thought was maybe not true. So I only went towards the positive things. And even the jinns, I never would get a Jan, Jann. It's like a very large jinn, and it's a species that tends to be very angry, and they hate humans, is what the reputation is. And they tend to be impetuous, and you'll ask for one thing, but it'll backfire on you. You've seen a lot of genie movies, maybe, or heard about genie stories where things just totally backfire. Now, if you have a Ifrit, they can go either way. And then I forgot the other family of jinn. I'll have to come up with it tomorrow. The other family of jinn is actually the very sweet ones. They're very loving. But when you go to eBay, this is where I recommend you go to buy this, unless you have an estate sale in your neighborhood, or in the paper. If you find another way to get it, it's okay, but obviously. But pray about it first, and then look up the words haunted jewelry. Or you could look up mermaid, merman, spells. You can get spells for love or lust or relationships. And that's okay, because even if you get a love spell, it's not going to create a situation where you're spelling on somebody else. You're not forcing them into an awkward situation where you're controlling them. Just to have a love spell ring just means you're going to draw love into your life, and there's no more to it. If you don't push your agenda onto somebody's mind, you're not going to screw with them. And that's the way to do it. Otherwise, it's going to backfire big time. Not a good thing. Let's see. So, the jinn I have been, let me see if there's anything else I've worked with them. I worked with jinn for a long, long time. I had a jinn that all he did was he came in every night when I was very lonely. He put his arms around me. I'd hear his footsteps walking through my room. And I've had several, 2 or 3 jinn that kind of started to really love me. And they were hanging out, just buddies, you know. And we would have conversations, and it was really lovely. And I had a jinn for a long time, 2 or 3 years, and he stayed with me, and he kept his arms around me at night. And if I was cold, I'd say, please warm me, and I would immediately be warmed up. Jinn are beings made of fire. So they have that fire energy, and they are willing to keep you warm. Now, I've worked with dragon energies a lot. Dragon jewelry is fun. I've had giant white dragons and purple dragons and green dragons, and now I have I think I have 7 or 10. I think I have 10 dragons with me right now. They're always with me. They fly with me when I travel. I had a genie that was a travel genie. He went everywhere with me. And he kept me safe, and he kept me safe over water. That was his protection. One time I ordered a ring that had belonged to a real mermaid who somebody in Ireland had seen, and it was a very freaky story, and they had just a really weird story. It's a good story. It's a fun and unique and amazing story. Whether it was true or not, I don't know. But the ring disappeared over the ocean. She sent it. She showed me proof. It was never received in the United States. And she asked the spirits, and what happened was the mermaid took it back. It wasn't never supposed to leave Ireland. So she got in trouble. And I never got my ring, and I was out $99. So number 1 rule there, learn from my mistake, always opt for the extra insurance. It's worth the $1 or $2 or $5 more. Always get the insurance in case your jewelry does not arrive. So first order business, look up haunted jewelry, look up what you want. You could say, lose weight, spell, haunted jewelry, whatever. It could be a spell, it could be an animal spirit. You could just say haunted spirit, ring, necklace. Just see what's out there. See what's out there. Sometimes you're going to find some really good stuff. Some of the stuff is not good. But then use your pendulum. And if you find a piece that you like, and it's got to be a high quality piece of jewelry. B, it's got to be worth the money you're paying for it, even if there was nothing attached to it. 3, it's got to have a decent story that when you go to sell it later, if you decide it's not for you, or you can't handle the energy or whatever, or say your kids inherit it when you pass away or whatever, you're not going to pass away for 100 years, don't worry. 1,000 years, don't worry. But if someone is going to inherit the jewelry, you're going to have to have them, you're going to have to have a really good story in case they sell it. Because a haunted piece of jewelry will be worth hundreds of dollars more sometimes. I mean, I paid up to $200 for a ring. There was one ring I wanted more than anything in the whole wide world. It's $495. And I recognized those spirits that were attached to it. They came and surrounded me, and they were my jinn when I lived in the Middle East. And it was from the Middle East. And I couldn't afford the ring, and I was so heartbroken. And all of a sudden, the auction was gone. And I wrote to them, and they said, the spirits came to us and said it wasn't time for us to sell this piece of jewelry. We'll let you know when it's on the market again. No one bought it. We still have it. It was like a group of 26 jinn, and they were like a family, and they were Muslim. And this was before I turned Muslim, but they are converted, but they really loved my energy. And they're like, don't you remember us? We recognize you. And I think that was when I was the daughter of a sultan in Egypt, the one that I didn't want to, I was sold. It was just a horrible past life. Anyway, it was just my father was a gambling addict and sold me to a man to pay off his debt so the man wouldn't kill him and take his kingdom, and which was just like a little piece of desert. It was like nothing, but whatever. And I was very pious, and I was just interested in God and nothing else. And he tried to take advantage of me physically, and I said no, and he choked me to death in Egypt. I mean, that's my second life in Egypt. I've lived 2 lives where I was in Egypt, and I was killed in both of them. Anyway, so sometimes if you are particularly sensitive to energies and you have the telepathy, and some of your clairvoyance and clairsentience, you will start to feel the energy of the ring first before it ever even comes to you bidding on it. And then, well, you use your common sense with bidding. We're not going to go into all that, but bid on the rings that you like, and the ones that are meant to be yours will magically happen to become yours. Then when you receive the energy, have a ceremony, light a candle, put flowers, welcome the spirit into your life, tell them what your purpose is, who you are, what you're all about, and tell them you're always going to love them and protect them and take care of them, and you will release them any moment they ask because you don't believe in slavery. And your haunted jewelry will treat you well, and it will bring a lot of lovely magic to your life. Well, I hope that you guys have enjoyed this episode. It's a short one today, but I gotta go. It's 10 minutes to 11, and I gotta get there soon to the bus station so I could go to my appointment tomorrow. I love each and every one of you. Send questions, comments, or even if you just want to make a donation to metaphysicalsoulspeak@gmail.com. Also, you can send voice messages to anchor.fm/metaphysical. Probably not going to put a description in this one until tomorrow when I have time. And I'm not pressed for having to catch a bus again. Anyway, have a good night. So now I'm signing off with peace and joy and the high vibes of the holy fifth dimension. Until next time, peace. Chances are you've heard of CBD oil, but maybe you're a little afraid it might make you a little high or super drowsy. Possibly you're not going to pass mandatory drug testing at work. Am I right? Well, I found an amazing company. I'm including the link in this episode's description. Okay. This is derived from only the hemp plant. It does not contain THC, which is the factor in marijuana that makes you high. This CBD oil has been known to reverse aging, help you through weight loss issues. You will literally lose weight on our products if you want. Also reverses hair loss. It also helps you with things like insomnia, anxiety, pain in your muscles and joints, and it gives you benefits throughout your body with its high quality antioxidants. We even have a vape. Would you like to try the blueberry cheesecake? I know I would. I mean, there's so much danger with vaping these days, but not when it is only CBD oil. That's right. You could vape not only anytime you want, because it's not going to make you high, but it's also going to be healthy for you. How's that? Pretty cool, right? Well, go ahead and look in my episode description for my link. And, well, start using your CBD oil today. If you're interested in the business end of it, it's absolutely free to join. It's absolutely free every month, actually. I have never seen a business like this in all my life. So you can start, well, using your CBD oil, and you can start a brand new side hustle for yourself. Hey, as in, Hey Yoga Shaman approves of this message. I love you guys, and well, here's to your health. Metaphysical Soul Speak is run on sponsors and listener support. This means listeners like you. If you are so inclined to support my efforts and my little podcast, please visit me at anchor.fm/metaphysical and pledge an amount of your choosing today. Thank you.